Mayhem. Today I'm going to talk about a couple of books I have DNF'd recently. It happens to the best of us. The first book is The Little French Bridal Shop by Jennifer Dupuy. I think I found this at our library's bookstore, and it looks adorable, and the way the flap set it up, it is about a character named Larissa who has inherited her great aunt, maybe just her aunt's house in Massachusetts. And having lived in Massachusetts myself, I could definitely picture, the scene as it's described and everything. And she goes into this little bridal shop that turns out to be run by one of her teachers who had retired and opened this shop. And on a whim, just buys a wedding dress. Well, she gets cornered because the teacher is like, "Oh, it's you. Are you getting married? Because why else would you be in this store?" And in truth, Larissa has actually just broken up with her long-term boyfriend and has just lost her job. And so she ends up planning this wedding, or at least that seems to be where this was headed. This had potential to be super cute and funny, but instead what we get is Larissa's kind of awful. She's become sort of a pathological liar as a form of spicing up her life, I guess. And then her love interest, Jack, who was the longtime caretaker of the house, because the house is very old, been in the family a long time, he has cheated on his wife and is in this rocky marriage. He has 11-year-old triplet sons. And so we're already set up for like this kind of cheating thing. And we're supposed to be sympathetic to him, I guess. His wife, Holly, seems, I don't know. But the way, when we're in Jack's head, the way he's thinking about his wife does not make him sympathetic, let's say. And so between the fact that Larissa's awful and Jack is primed for adultery, even though Larissa and Jack have known each other since high school, and she went on to go to fancy colleges or whatever, and he stayed in town, right? Like, the second chance aspect was not the problem for me. It was that I expected this to be fun and funny. I expected it to be kind of this comedic story of this woman who returns to her small town and starts planning a wedding without a groom and just kind of waiting to see if destiny would provide that. That has a lot of potential as a story. Instead, I got this pseudo-women's fiction thing where the characters were unlikable, the situation was not romantic in the least, and also, weirdly, as someone who talks with my hands, but the way the author describes people's hand movements was distracting because it was truly bizarre. Like, they were weirdly specific. I don't know how else to put it, but it was a very strange thing. Instead of just saying, "Oh, she put her hands up," like, whoa, 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 she put her hands up, and then you have a line of dialogue that shows that she's like, it's like, "Oh, she put her palms out and made a pumping motion," and I'm like, I don't know. It was bizarre to me. And so, yeah, I don't know. I got a third of the way into it, which I felt was enough to give it 2 stars on Goodreads. It's really more like a 1.5. But I was not going to continue reading it because I didn't care about these characters. I didn't care what happened to them. And in fact, I didn't like them, so I didn't wish them well. The other book, I thought, okay, I'll switch it up. I'll move on to nonfiction, because I've only read one nonfiction book this year. It was at the very, very beginning of the year. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we need a palate cleanser. And this one's been on my want to read list for a while. I Came All This Way to Meet You, Writing Myself Home by Jamie Attenberg. Now, I had never heard of this author. Apparently she's written a lot of fiction books. In fact, some of them, I guess, have been very popular or, successful. This one I didn't even get far enough that I would rate it. I didn't even have it in my Goodreads currently reading yet, so I'm going to skip it because I only got about 60-ish pages in. I don't know. It's memoir, I guess, esque. She talks about kind of her book touring ways, putting herself on a book tour, I guess, but also having to couch surf while her apartment in New York is being sublet, things like that. First of all, I just couldn't relate. Second of all, I was just like, why am I supposed to find this interesting? Like, what is it about your experience am I supposed to connect with? Because this was all very specific, and I didn't find any general use for the story, nor was I particularly interested in any of it. So I've decided to stop reading this one and pick up something else. I have a couple other library books. I basically went to my Goodreads, looked at my want to read list, and requested several books that my library had in order to just get them off my want to read list. So we'll see if one of these other ones is a winner. These were not. This little French bridal shop book will go back to a used bookstore. I came all this way to meet you. We'll go back to the library and we will find something else to read. So if you've read these, let me know your thoughts on them. Let me know, maybe I came all this way to meet you gets better or more interesting. I don't know. Maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance. I don't think I could go back to the little French bridal shop, even if other people loved it. But, that's just me. But yeah, so that's it for now. Those are my DNFs. And until next time, take care.